Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Paul's 3D Experience. Good to have you back. I want to talk today, talk about my experience with Black Friday of this year, 2022, specifically shopping the Daz store versus shopping Renderosity. Winter has finally hit, so it's a little bit chilly out there. But fortunately, I'm in here, so I can take this stuff off. Can I? Alright. That's good. I am so grateful I'm in this dumpy, crappy hotel. They jacked the price up on this place for me, even though the parking lot's empty. That's the polar opposite of how the law of supply and demand works, and that has consequences, but that's something a little more for my master class if I can ever get that thing done. What I want to talk about, I got my Grinch shirt on too. Alright, can you see my, right on. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. I can't remember the words. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. Oh, I love that. What a great show. To be young again when that's all you had to worry about was the Grinch. What I want to talk to you about is my experience shopping on Black Friday for Daz content. Ultimately, this channel was meant to be Paul's 3D experience. It was meant to be me sharing my experiences with this 3D adventure. And it was about, this chair here. It was about a year ago when I started doing 3D using Daz. It was Thanksgiving weekend of last year. Right now is a couple days after Cyber Monday, 2 days after Cyber Monday of the following year. So last year when I shopped on Black Friday, I got some really good deals, but I didn't really know what was going on. I was brand new to Daz, and I was exclusively at the Daz store at that time. Don't think I'd even heard of Renderosity at that time. So, and I have to apologize that my technology here is so bad. The irony is that when I, before my car died, when I was living in the car for 7 years, I made really high quality videos. And the reason is because of this. It's not because of me, it's because of this. This thing that I paid about $250 for 7 years ago, this Canon video camera. This thing takes extraordinarily good video. I mean, to my mind, cinematic quality. I mean, you could probably release something you create with this. But you can also plug in a microphone. So I can take one of my really good microphones and plug it in, but the audio in this thing is really good. So I would have it in the car on the dashboard filming me, and it's so convenient. It's lightweight. You just take it and, you put it in your pocket, and I can go out and film whatever I need to. This is one of the best purchases I've ever made in my life. I was able to do the Homeless Consultant channel for 6 years because of this. And unfortunately, like everything else in my car, it all gets bunched up and all the wires get bunched up. And what happened was the cable here shorted out, and you can see where I tried to fix it. I resoldered it at work, and I plugged it into the wall, and it actually worked. So I was like, cool, I fixed it. So I took it apart, and I, went about my business. And the next time I plugged it in to actually charge it up, this thing never worked again. So my soldering job wasn't very good because there's no room here. I only had like a 1/4 inch to work with, so the wires are touching. And I just don't have the kind of soldering tools and tools that I need to fix this myself, and I can't find any place that'll fix it. So this thing's out of commission. If that wasn't the case, I would just have this sitting over here, and you would have fantastic video and fantastic audio perfectly synced. So what I have to do instead is record using Microsoft Camera on this tiny itty bitty little laptop I have here. It's a little netbook. It's what I do internet stuff with for convenience. It's just, fast. I don't have anything really on it, so it stays fast. And then I record the audio, in this case, into this, which is a portable handheld recorder, and then I take them into a video editor and I try to sync them up. But the problem is, I think the Microsoft one, believe it or not, doesn't record quite at the right speed, so the sync gets off between the audio and the video, and it is just, instead of me just going into the editor, taking off the front and the back and maybe adding pictures and uploading it, I have to go through all this rigmarole to create any kind of video anymore in this environment. And before, just sitting in a front seat of a car, I could make better videos. And the thing is that in the couple years since I bought this, Canon stopped making these consumer grade camcorders. And to get something like this now that I paid $250 for 6 years ago is about $1,300. And it's not much better than what this is. There's a couple out there, Panasonic, Sony, and such, but they're terrible cameras. They're nowhere near the quality of this one. So until the day arrives that I find a power adapter for this thing available online, I'm stuck making inferior quality videos. And I do apologize, because I take great pride in my ability to make good videos, but I just don't have the convenient permanent setup to make it happen for you. I even have a really good microphone. Let me show you here. Yeah, I have this Lewitt Pure 440 microphone. This thing is ridiculous. This is almost as good as a Neumann mic. I mean, it doesn't cost anywhere near as much, but I can't do anything with it because the audio interface, you can't interface it with these cheap computers, and Microsoft screws everything up. Okay, enough background on that. Let's talk about my experience on Black Friday, and I'm going to be winging this by necessity. Again, all these setups and everything. But here's how it went down, folks. I've been planning for Black Friday pretty much all year long, certainly for the last 6 months, since I got to know how Daz content works, how the Daz store works, and I was introduced to other places like Renderosity and Render Hub. And so I've been planning all along, and I had an account where I was saving money for Black Friday specifically, so I could go to town. Due to circumstances such as this dumpy hotel jacking the price up by $70 a week on top of what I was already paying, out of the clear blue sky with no warning, for a place that has an empty parking lot. See, the law of supply and demand says that if there's high demand, you can charge a premium price. If there's low demand, you charge a low price to try to bring in more people to buy your product or service. What they're doing is the polar opposite of the law of supply and demand. And when you violate a natural law like that, people get hurt. Just like if you violate the law of gravity by walking off the edge of the Grand Canyon thinking that you can overcome gravity. It ain't going to happen. Somebody, somewhere, is going to get hurt. But this greedy hotel here, Extended Stay America, apparently wants to fill their pockets. So now I'm paying about 20-25% more per week for a hotel that's empty and is basically a dump to begin with. In fact, I had to pull this huge cockroach off this computer monitor that the camera's on and throw it in the toilet before I started this recording. Yet another big cockroach. Anyway, back to Daz. I had been saving money for Black Friday, budgeting something good for that. Probably trying to budget maybe about $300. All right, and then also a little bit more for music stuff, because I usually go to town on my music studio plugins as well. That's one reason I can make a masterclass on the Daz store, by the way, is because I have years of experience shopping for something similar in the music world. And without getting into masterclass stuff too much, I keep spreadsheets, I keep track of what it is I want. I'm still getting stuff throughout the year, of course, quite a bit, actually, too much maybe. But as we converge on Black Friday, my want list was converging. So here's the goal. As we get to Black Friday, I want to have a list, and it doesn't matter if it's a small list or if it's pages, but I want to have a list that has been narrowed down and say, these are the things I'm going to focus on. Because I know Daz is going to throw thousands of things at you. All right? And the same with Renderosity and Render Hub, anywhere else. Those are really the only places I look this year. Now, as I did that, because they jacked the price up on this hotel and stuff, other than the fact that I'm now losing money, I'm also working a ton of overtime. So basically, I'm working about 11 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then on the other days, I might be working 6 to 8 hours. It's basically just work and sleep and walking, because since my car died, I have to walk about 1.5 miles to work. In fact, I almost got mauled by a pack of coyotes the other night. Most terrifying sound you ever heard. If you haven't heard coyotes screeching, 30 feet in front of you, you don't know what fear is. And, so I don't have time to do anything other than work, really. And I wouldn't have to do that again if they didn't do things like violate the law of supply and demand and jack the price for this place up. The reason I came in here is because the law of supply and demand demands that it should be the lowest rate, not something $70 higher a week. And at the same time, I have to balance my overtime against the IRS changing the tax brackets, because I don't want to put myself into another tax bracket. Then I end up losing money after working overtime all year, and all my savings for a car are gone. All right? So I'm trying to juggle all these things, and Black Friday is approaching, and I'm seeing my money start to go away because they raised the price here, and they're just sucking my savings dry, so that I'm right back where I was, 5 months ago. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what am I supposed to do for Black Friday? I can't overextend myself, and I've just basically lost most of the money. So I ended up with about $120 or so. I mean, I could probably take it out to $150, maybe even $200 if I wanted to take a risk. But, I had about that much to spend on Daz stuff. When Black Friday started, I believe it was, let's see, Cyber Monday, Friday, Sunday, Friday. I think technically Daz Store started their Black Friday stuff on Thanksgiving, on Thursday, and I did have the day off work for Thanksgiving. So I was looking at it, but it was lame. It was lame. And I've noticed the Daz Store for the last month has had really lame sales. And that's okay, because I expect they're trying to, they're trying to look forward to Black Friday as where they... And I was trying in my mind to figure out, because I'm always watching the Daz Store, and they're so manipulative, how were they going to do this? Because remember, last year I didn't know enough about this to pay attention. So when Thursday came along and I'm off work and I look and there's just basically not a whole lot of items available and they're lame, that old content from Genesis and G2 and all that. And I'm thinking, this is horrible. Is this their Black Friday sale? This is terrible. Well, the next day is Black Friday. I have to go to work. What was it? Yeah, it was 11 hours that day. So I go to work. Then they kind of kick in the Black Friday stuff. And what Daz Store does is they start having these bars. I'll show you. I made a copy at the end of it. So they start putting in here a bar for Friday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Cyber Monday. And they have this promotion, what do they call it? Punch card, right? Now, when I go to, when I had my car, there was one gas station I went to, I would get a coffee and they'd punch this card. And after you get 7 or 8 punches, you get a free coffee and a new empty card. Well, this punch card thing at Daz is very different. Like Daz so often does, they never really explain how the thing works at all. It's totally confusing. Makes no sense at all. All you know is you're going to get some additional discount somehow. You just don't know how. which is a bad thing because that takes the control away from you as a shopper if you don't even understand what's going on. So the Daz punch card thing was ridiculous to begin with because you were never clear on exactly what's happening. They said something about a maximum of 2 punches, and they have to be in a row. So like Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday, but not Friday and Sunday. If you shop on Friday, you get a punch. If you don't shop on Saturday, you lose that original punch and you start all over on Sunday. Seems to be how this thing worked, but who knows? I couldn't figure it out. And the problem is when Daz does that, you are at their mercy. And again, this is how Daz Store works. They're very manipulative. They want to have the upper hand. They seem to see business as some kind of warfare. So they're very Putin-esque in the way that they present these sales. Okay, you're just the sucker whose money they want to take. It isn't about, hey, we make content, we love 3D stuff, you buy content, you love 3D stuff, together we make a better world in this 3D world of ours. No, with the Daz Store, it's like we are a behemoth, we own this thing, and we're going to tell you the way it is, and you're going to like it. Or else. That's the way Daz works. And I'm going to compare this to Renderosity in a bit, and I think you're going to see the contrast, how significant it is. So on Friday, the reason I talked about walking to work is because that takes about a half hour to walk one way. So that's 1 hour out of each day that I lose just walking, when it would normally be like a 4-minute drive if I could drive. Because the way the roads are set up here, I have to go all the way around. I can't just, I can almost see work from out front here, but I can't go that way. I have to go like all the way around because of the way Minnesota sets up the roads, and they don't support pedestrian traffic. In fact, being a pedestrian in Minnesota is really, really dangerous. Everything's set up to hurt you. Like super sharp hairpin turns where you have to cross the road, but it's after the turn. So you can't see who's coming around this bend at high speed when you have to cross, and there's no crosswalk to dictate it. Just lunacy stuff. Minnesota just, I don't know. That's why I always called my band with the Homeless Consultant channel Minnesota Kills, because that's basically what they do. So that's an hour each day I lose walking. I'm working 11 hours, and I gotta sleep at some point. So when Daz comes out with this thing with the punch card, and on Friday they suddenly start presenting large numbers of items, like hundreds, if not thousands of items. And I can't remember what they were. I think they were more like just general stuff. And I start looking through it, and there's 82 pages when I display them 120 items per page. And I'm thinking, how am I supposed to get through all this? Now I have my list of things that I want, so I start typing those in, but here's the trick, folks. The way Daz does things, it is not clear, and sometimes you have no way to know whatsoever when you go directly to an item, is it part of that sale or not? There's no little icon that says Black Friday sale on it. You don't know. Because you know how Daz Store works. They're always 30% off, 40% off. Everything's always on sale. That was the starting point with Black Friday. These items would be 30, 40% off. Or they might not be on sale at all, just the so-called list price, which anybody would be crazy to pay, right? So if I go to these items directly from my list that I put together over a year and pared down to exactly what I want, I don't know if they're on sale. I have to add it to the cart and see what the price is. Fine. If that's all it was to it, that would be fine. I just go through my list, I look at the prices, and I go, okay, I get some deals here. Let's grab these. But here's the trick. Daz also does their little shenanigans. Remember, they're very, very manipulative. The price of your item in the cart is contingent on the other items in your cart. So in other words, if let's say there's a hair, let's say one of the things I wanted was mystical hair. So I put mystical hair into my shopping cart, and it gives me a price. Now mystical hair usually sells on 30% sale or whatever. It's something like $17.95. So I put it in my cart, and the thing's like $7. It's like, okay, well that's a sale, but that's really high for a hair. $7. but I leave it in the cart because that's what I do. So I go through my list and I put these things in the cart to see what they are. If the price is outrageous, I dump it. If not, I leave it in the cart. And then when I have my cart full of stuff, I pare down the cart and narrow it down, and I buy what's remaining. And there's other things, there's other things I do that I'll defer to the master class. But that's essentially what I'm doing. So I started putting my items in the cart, and the thing was, as I put items in the cart, every once in a while, the prices of everything that's already in the cart would suddenly go down a bit. So now, let's say I put 5 other items in the cart, and all of a sudden I look at mystical hair, and it's $5.46. I'm going, okay, let me get this straight. So if I go to the product page, it says it's $17. If I add it to my cart, it says it's $7. But now that I've added other items to my cart, all of a sudden it's $5.46. And on top of that, there's some kind of punch card out there in the ether that Daz never bothered to explain how it works precisely. Is this from the punch card? Or is it one of their, you get this on sale, but only if you buy a new release or something like that? Or you only buy a Daz original, or you only buy a Daz Plus item. So maybe throwing a Daz Plus item from my list in there is what suddenly triggered all those things to go down in price. Now, when I get the cart full, I had something like 60 items in the cart because that's how long my list was. 60 items, right? And I'm looking at it, and it says something like, the total price at list price was like $3,000 or $3,300. The price of what was in the cart was something like, I can't remember the specific numbers, it changed so much, but, like $280. So if I had $280, I could have grabbed all of that stuff instead of paying $3,300 at list price. But I didn't have that much, did I? This extended stay America jacked the price on my room up to the point where I have to go work overtime just to maintain being here. So I'm not out in the freezing cold without a car. So what do you do in a case like that? Well, I had to keep paring things down, right? So picture what happens. I go to work for 11 hours. I walk back, try not to get mauled by the coyotes. I sit down, I turn this thing on, I add all those things to the cart, and I watch the prices change. In the end, what I'm seeing is some genuinely really good deals. In fact, there were a whole bunch of things that were 50 cents a piece. Yeah, they were kind of the older ones, but they were good, useful stuff. All the Parkside stuff. And I know the textures are pretty old in there, but I wanted those at 50 cents a piece. Because they're nice rundown environments. I like kind of rundown environments in the background sometimes. They had a set of chairs, things like that, 50 cents. Awesome. All those hairs I wanted, which was really what I wanted. There were some character bundles, and some hair. Those were the things I really wanted. All those hairs are down there at like $3 and $4 at this point. But I've got 60 of them in my cart, and I can't afford the whole thing. So I have to start letting these go. So I start going through them, and I start trying to make decisions what to let go. Now here's one of the things that Daz does that is manipulative. I can't promise you this isn't a coincidence, but I have reasons why I believe this is deliberate. When you add an item to your shopping cart, how long does it take to enter your shopping cart, folks? When you click add. You get that little bar at the bottom, and it takes what? About 1 to maybe 3 seconds normally. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay, maybe 5 or 6 seconds. Most of the time, 1 to 3 seconds for it to add it to your cart. But if you're looking at your cart and you click on the heart to put it in your wish list, or the X to get rid of it, to remove it from your cart, how long does that take? Yeah, it usually takes about 10 seconds, and in extreme cases, 20 seconds or more to remove one item from your cart. I had 60 items in my cart. Do the math on that, folks. So what happened was that first day, I ended up buying a batch of stuff. I just decided I'm going to go for some stuff I know I really want to grab at these prices. But the thing is, as I'm removing items from the cart, the prices are starting to go up again. And I don't know why. Because Daz doesn't tell you. You have to just keep manipulating their slower than molasses shopping cart to figure out what the price is going to be at that point after you make your change. And then decide what to do. I don't have time for that. I have to go to work. I have to get some sleep in between work. So what I ended up doing was clearing out the shopping cart. I went for some big bundles and some, I can't remember, some characters and things. I don't even think I got a hair in there. They really didn't have hair on sale that day. I don't know. I got whatever I got, okay? It ended up being, if I remember right, about $50, something like that. And the prices did not change drastically when you added all the other stuff to the cart. Maybe a little bit more. But I grabbed them. Didn't even have time to download them. Go to sleep, get up and go to work in the morning the next day, Saturday. Saturday I work 11 hours. Okay, half-hour walk in there, work 11 hours, plus lunch, and 11 and a half hours I'm there. Plus, I'm just the conscientious type, so I'm always doing something there before work and after work. Cleaning up the kitchen, things like that. I'm always doing that. So, and then a half-hour walking back. In fact, I think it was Saturday when I almost got mauled by the coyotes, so I actually had to back off and wait about a half hour before I even, dared. I didn't have a choice. There's no other way to get back here. But I had to wait about a half hour before I felt like it was even remotely safe to try to walk through there. Pitch black area with these coyotes surrounding me. And because Minnesota Department of Transportation doesn't feel the need to put lights up for people to see when they're walking. You see, they don't really care a lot about other people. They just talk about how much they care about other people. Blah, 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 blah. They just don't care. That's why they have 20,000 homeless people. And that number's always rising. So Saturday, when I finally get back, they have the next Daz sale. Now in this case, these little bars changed because of this punch card thing, whatever in the world that is. So now the items on Saturday, I can't remember. I think that one actually focused on characters, if I remember right. I can't remember. I think it focused on characters. So I kind of got screwed the first day in the sense. It turns out it really didn't, but I bought these characters on Friday, I guess it was, and they focused on characters on Saturday. So I start filling up the cart, right? I start doing my thing again. I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm getting the same ridiculous behavior from their shopping cart. It's really quick to add things to the cart. The prices go down as you add items, but you have no idea why. The problem is, as they're going down, but that's only when your cart is filled with a bunch of stuff, with a huge total, like $60 or $100 or $200. So you got to pare that down again. Well, I start doing the paring down thing, but again, it takes 10, 20 seconds or more every time you delete something. Do the math on that. It takes forever. And what happened, folks, is the clock was coming up here, because for our time where I'm at, it's 1 a.m. in the morning, 1 a.m. when the day rolls over for Daz. So these sales were going to end at 1 a.m. I've got to be at work. Well, I've got to leave for work at, 7? And I got to sleep at some point. I'm just awake and working all the time just to pay for this place that I hardly can spend any time in. Well, make a long story short, I fell asleep here on the desk while I was trying to shop for the Daz stuff. I just fell asleep. I right on the edge of this little computer. I had a big red square on my forehead. And I probably woke up at 3 in the morning or something and all that, and the day had rolled over. So I lost all those sales. All that time I spent, those hours after work, going through this ridiculous Daz manipulation, and I doze off and it's gone. And they've got something new going on. So I go and I get some sleep. I get up. I walk to work early in the morning. I work another Sunday 10 hours. 10 hours with the half hour on each end for setup, breakdown, me just cleaning, making sure everything's closed and safe and locked, because no one else is going to do it. If you're one of those people at work, you know what I mean. Somebody's got to do it, and whether they get paid for it or not. Plus the half hour walk there, the half hour walk back. Okay? So I get back Sunday, and I'm trying to think. I can't remember if Sunday was hair or not. One of these days was hair, either Sunday or Mondays when they finally got to the hair. But so I go through the process again. Now on Sunday, because I go in so early and I'm not there as much, I actually get out a bit earlier. I had more time. But I was working with Renderosity. I had been working with Renderosity all along, but the reason I'm not mentioning Renderosity right now is because it's really fast with Renderosity. So we'll talk about it in a moment. So I start doing the Daz Store stuff again. I think it was on Sunday. I'm not positive. Yeah, it must have been on Sunday, I guess, when I finally did my Renderosity purchase. And my Renderosity purchase, I believe, was $66. I'll tell you about that in a moment. When I do the Daz stuff, I do the same thing. I start adding them to the cart. I look at what the prices are today. And the thing is, each day, and a good baseline are those Parkside. Parkside is like something from back in the Genesis 2 era, maybe. It's an environment, this abandoned town. The textures are very dry looking. They're just not good textures, right? Or at least what I can tell. They're basically poser products. I like to gather these things because I like those kinds of backgrounds if they're cheap. Remember, on day one, they were 50 cents a piece, and I missed them. The next day, they were 76 cents a piece. Doesn't sound like a lot. Well, an extra 26 cents a piece. And there were like 15 of them I wanted. Do the math. All right, that's a few bucks. And just to let this cat out of the bag, the next day those things went up to like $1.56. So only on that first day where I dozed off and didn't buy anything was it 50 cents. From then on, I'm watching the price rise over and over and over. So I never ended up getting those because I'm not paying that much. I'd pay the 50 cents for it. But if Daz is going to raise the price progressively between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I'm not falling for that trick. I had to let it all go. All of it. I had to completely let it go. But I'm doing my cart manipulation again and trying to remove items. And again, it's taken bloody well forever to get things out of there. But by the time I could really start on that, because I had to start out with Renderosity. Renderosity, I think their sale was timing out at midnight. And I wanted to get that done. So I did. And everything went good with Renderosity. Except that I didn't have enough money to get as much as I wanted, which is always the case, right? But I cleaned up there. I cleaned up. Daz Store, I start doing the little manipulation again. I have to remove items. I add them all into the cart, and then I start pulling them out to pare it down, and the prices keep changing dynamically, so I'm just swirling and trying to figure it out. And I'm pretty sure it was on Sunday night. I was there at 1 in the morning, right before 1 in the morning, and the cart still was too big. It was just too big. It was like $120 or something. And it's like, I'm not paying $120, so I can't afford it. I can't afford that. That's not what I budgeted. And as 1 o'clock approached, I had two choices. I could either pay that much money, which technically I had the money, but that's not in the budget I had for this. I'm not going to do it. Or I can empty the cart quickly and throw in some things and buy them. But the problem is, what happens if you do that? If you empty the cart and I take the ones and you put them in there, they're at a higher price than what I'm seeing right now. And as I add those items, they may or may not go down. But I've never been able to figure out what causes these prices to go down, so I don't know what to add to the cart to make the prices go down. So anyway, that's what I did. I emptied the cart. I went to the main ones that I really wanted. I threw them in the cart, and this is about 10 minutes before 1 a.m. And I throw them in the cart, and they're just not going down to the prices they were before. So I don't know what I have to add to make those prices go down. So now something that before would have costed me about $50 is now showing me like $85. And I'm just thinking, I can't do this. I can't do it. And I just watched the clock tick over to 1 a.m. And everything ended. And and I had nothing. I couldn't do anything. And the only reason is because Daz makes it so difficult to use their shopping cart and to comprehend their sales. Cyber Monday. Again, I get up in the morning after that fiasco. I get up in the morning and I go to work. I work for, it was closer to 12 hours, but it was 11 hours, we'll say. Yeah. Yep. And I get out really late on Monday, like really late. So I don't get back here until about 11:30 at night. Remember, Daz store rolls over at 1 a.m. And I'm exhausted. I don't want to spend hours on this computer looking at Daz stuff. But it's Black Friday. This time the hair was finally there. So I'd lost all that stuff I wanted the day before. All that stuff I've been waiting 6 months for. Putting it off, waiting for Black Friday. All because Daz can't, because they're all about manipulation. They don't just present you something and let you buy it, make a decision. Everything's got to be manipulated. Daz has to be in control of everything. They determine whether the price goes down when you add another item to your cart. And you're going to see how much different that is than the way Renderosity does things. It's disgusting. It's an ethical problem with Daz store, that I talk about all the time here, and I will talk about more. So I put the hairs in the cart, and as I add them to the cart, whoa, they're going way down. So this time I'm getting hairs in the $3-4 range, and I'm like, now we're talking. I'll pay $3 or $4. There's a whole bunch of them I wanted. There was that all ages Bob. There was the mystical hair again. There's just a whole bunch of them I wanted. Hair is one of the most important thing to me, because to me, I'll talk about it in the master class, but people basically look the same. If you really look at them when they're bald, the hair is what really helps to bring out your features and distinguish you. So the hair is very important. Well, but again, I didn't get back here till like 11:30. I kind of wanted to, believe it or not, I kind of wanted to eat some food after, working for 11 hours. So that took a little bit of time. So I fill up the cart, I start doing all this stuff with the hair, and I'm like, oh, these are great prices. This is awesome. I like this. And folks, the same thing happened. The totality of the cart was too much. I'm not spending that much. The same thing happened. As I'm pulling things out, the prices don't change. I pull something out, the prices don't change. I pull something out, the prices go up a bit. I'm like, what the heck was that all about? So I put the other item back in and they go down again. But it's like, but I want this item more than I want that item. So I have to keep tinkering, adding and subtracting things from the cart, trying to get it to the price that they told me it was when I had everything in the cart. 1 o'clock rolls around and the same thing happened. My cart was too full of stuff. It was too high priced. And I didn't have any time left, given how slow it is to remove things from... I mean, when you get down to the wire at the Daz store and it's about to roll over to the next day, and you click remove on an item and it can take 20 or 30 seconds for that to remove, which I think is deliberate. I don't know. I think at the very least they're not fixing that problem. If it's easy to add items to your cart, in other words, spend money, but it's difficult to remove items from your cart, in other words, not spend money on them, I'm seeing a pattern there. As someone who knows how to program computers, I'm seeing a pattern that seems to be part of that manipulation. And I'm not falling for that. So again, on that day, I got nothing. All those hairs that were $3, $4 that I've wanted for all these months, I had to just let them go. Because otherwise I'd be spending like whatever it was, $80, $90 in the cart. When I had my cart full and I looked at only the items I wanted, it was right where my budget was, like $50. But once I start pulling items out of the cart, the prices go up a little bit. And by the time you get it down to just the items I wanted, all of a sudden they're no longer 50 like it was before. Now it's 80. And I'm not going to let Daz steal my money like that. So folks, that's how my Black Friday went with the Daz store. From Thursday through Monday, I blew all that time on it when I don't have time to burn. I work really, really hard. And I walk really, really hard. And I'm too old for this stuff. And then I come back here, and instead of just shopping, Daz wants us to jump through all these hoops. Daz just sits there and says, "You will do what we say." You don't have any say. If you want to shop with us, you follow our rules. You let us manipulate you. You let us change the prices arbitrarily. You let us present sales that make no comprehensible sense because we don't explain how they work. You just keep adding things to your cart and watch the prices go down. But if you pull something out of your cart, you're not going to know what's going on. So you're better off just hitting the purchase button when your cart's full. And I'm not doing that. So folks, for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I got completely screwed by Daz, the Daz store. All I got was that first batch of stuff I bought early on, which granted, I wanted those items, but they were not, if I had a choice in the matter, it's those hairs I wanted. But they didn't go on sale until the last day. I mean, with the big sales. So I'm glad I got what I did, and I'm glad I got it at those prices, but it was like third tier stuff that I got. And it wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't a lot. So I spent, what, $60 I think with Daz over Black Friday. I had budgeted. I was willing to give them much more. And I'm so sorry. I don't remember the exact numbers. I mean, these things are flying around all the time. I have a certain amount for Daz, a certain amount for Renderosity. But I was ready to spend a whole lot more with Daz. But they kept trying to play with my mind. They kept trying to manipulate me with these prices going up and down as you add and subtract from your shopping cart. And I'm not falling for that. So I lost. I didn't get anything. And I'm going to think twice about buying those items at any price in the future. The Daz store is really, really, I mean, remember, I spent all these years, decades, one of my interests is business ethics. You know, the first videos on my homeless consultant channel were about business, not about homelessness. And they were infused with talk about ethics. Because when you have an unethical company, it corrupts all kinds of things. It corrupts the industry. It corrupts larger industries. It corrupts the economy as a whole. It corrupts the customers. Corruption is like a virus. It infiltrates everything. And Daz Store's decision, conscious decision, business decision, to be a manipulative entity, to try to manipulate customers into spending more money instead of just being fair and saying, here's the price. Hey, look, on this day it's on sale. Here's the price. And let you decide. Now, to contrast this, let's look at Renderosity. At Renderosity, a couple other dynamics going on here. First of all, Renderosity's prices generally are, I guess you'd say, comparable to the list price at the Daz store. The Daz store, when you get a good deal, can be a really good deal. Something that has a list price of $39, you can get it for $1 sometimes. I mean, it might take a year before you see it, and you've got to be there to see it. But it's possible. But if nothing else, you frequently can get it down to maybe $3 or $4 or $5. Now, granted, the $39 list price is arbitrary. It's way overpriced. It makes no sense to begin with. None of this stuff should cost $20, $30. This is content, folks. This is digital content. This stuff should sell for $5 tops right out of the box. I mean, that's again, they're creating their own fake economy here. And that's one reason that the Daz store doesn't allow you to communicate with the vendors. You know, they don't have it like Renderosity has this thing. When you look at a product on Renderosity, you get reviews so that you can see other people's experiences and you can learn, is this a good product or is this a piece of junk? At the Daz store, you don't know because there's no reviews. If you want to contact the vendor, the creator of this content, and ask them a question, at Renderosity, you just click on contact and send them a site mail. And they usually respond within hours or a couple days. At Daz Store, you can't contact those people. The best hope you have is to go to the forums and try to wave a big flag and say, hey, 3D Universe, hey, I can't remember any. Can't remember any vendors over there. Hey, what's... You can't reach the people. And that's deliberate. That's a deliberate business decision. That didn't just happen by random chance. Daz Store wants it that way. Why don't they want you communicating with the vendors? Why do they not want you to have reviews to learn from other people's experiences? Could it be because they want you to buy stuff that if you could query previous customers, they would tell you this is junk? Renderosity doesn't do that. They have a review system there. If you get something that doesn't work, I've seen some reviews that come right out and say it. They'll come right out and say, hey, this does not work with Daz Studio. This only works with Poser. Hey, just so you know, this is really nice, but you've got to do a lot of messing with the textures here. Okay, as a shopper, I can look at that on Renderosity and say, okay, make a decision. Do I want to go through that effort of changing the textures? If I do, buy it. If not, got to write it off. Thank you so much, reviewer, for letting me know, because I wouldn't have known otherwise until I got it. That's why so much content I bought from the Daz Store is sitting in my lost and found, or just never being used. And that's an ethical problem. Daz Store, if you're watching, very disappointed in you at many levels. Just at a species level, I'm disappointed with what the people at the Daz Store are doing. It's just reprehensible. Another thing that Renderosity does, though, is a point system, a rewards system. As I've been shopping at the Renderosity, I accumulate points. And frankly, it doesn't take all that long to get up enough points to get like $5 gift certificate off your next purchase. And I did that for like the first 6-7 months. After that, I started hoarding the points, waiting for Black Friday. And because of that, I had accumulated enough to get some really good gift certificates. That gave me a lot where I didn't need the money. That's why my budget with Renderosity was a bit different, because I already had a good portion of it taken care of. It was already paid for. At Renderosity, there were some items and vendors that just don't go on sale. I've watched all year, and they just don't go on sale, period. And I didn't know if they would go on sale at Black Friday. Renderosity, everything, the whole store, everything, 50% off. Now, granted, 50% off at Renderosity versus 98% off at the Daz Store. Now, if you're not thinking this through properly, you're going to think, well, geez, the Daz Store has a much better deal. 98% off? Well, yeah, but what if their original price is sky high? 98% off a ridiculously high number can still be almost equivalent to 50% off a reasonable list price at Renderosity. Now, having said that, there are some places at Renderosity that I believe are way high priced. And I always debate whether I should use vendor names and such. I'm not trying to put people down or anything, but the reality is what it is. Blue Tree Studios, for example, at Renderosity, they make some of my favorite stuff, and a lot of stuff. And I've bought several of theirs, and I will buy more. But the fact is, it's kind of pricey. It's kind of expensive compared to other stuff. All right? It is what it is. But with that bonus, with that reward system, I was able to save up over about 6 months. Not just buying the house, but spending money here or there. I was able to accumulate enough points to help me get stuff that never went on sale before, and now for Black Friday it went on sale, and I didn't even have to pay for it because I used my points. Not only that, but I had the Prime coupon. The Prime coupon with Renderosity is 20% off for signing up for their elite program, Prime. 20% off coupon. I held that through all of November to the end. And that was risky because a lot of vendors don't allow the coupon. but it's 20% off. It's a significant coupon. At the Daz store, when you sign up for Daz Plus, they give you 2 coupons for $6 off. That ain't 20%, folks. Those are lame, pathetic coupons at the Daz store. $6 off, and one of them, you have to spend $18 before you can even use the coupon. And they have so many conditions on there that it depends on the type of product you're buying, like a Daz Original or a Daz Plus or whatever, determines whether you can even use the coupon. I almost went through the month of November without using one of my Daz coupons because none of my shopping carts ever qualified for that coupon. It was only at the very last day. I think it was that day, whenever I did make the purchase, Saturday, I guess. I think that's when I was able to use the coupon for the first time in November. That's lunacy, folks. No reviews, no way to contact the vendor to ask questions, no points program, no rewards for being a loyal shopper with them. And the coupons they provide have so many restrictions on them and confusing criteria that you may not even get to use it. Renderosity, easy to access the vendors, reviews all over the place. Not just reviews, but you can upload, I do it all the time, upload renders showing how other people are using their products. So you know you're not just looking at a photoshopped promo image. You can see what other people put together. And I try to, if I buy something from Renderosity, it's always nice if I can create a quick render with it and upload it so other people can see what does this really look like. And that helps. That helps everybody. 20% off coupon. Yes, many vendors will not accept the coupon, but it's a legit 20%. And it's pretty easy to see what it applies to. You put stuff in your cart, you put in the coupon, and it gives you this little symbol where the coupon applies. Now, it turns out here that the way I'd set this up, everything in that cart had the coupon. So I got 20% off everything. I got to use a gift certificate to pay for it. Now, I did pay a bit extra. I can't remember how much. It was in that range. I can't remember. $50 extra. I don't know, something like that, right? So in the end, I ended up cleaning up. It's like I put a Black Friday. I put a message in the forums on the Daz store, and I said, "Somebody call the cops, 'cause I'm about to steal." All right, I've got the coupon I haven't used all month. I've been hoarding points all this time, and it turns out that at least one very nice person was actually tipping me on my gallery, giving me some points, which I didn't know about, and I'm so sorry about that, but thank you for the tips. But, I was hoarding these points, and items that I've been watching for months and months and months that never go on sale were on sale. You put all that together, I cleaned up, folks. I got the stuff I wanted. I got it at a much better price than before. A lot of these things were down in the $4, $5, $6, $7 a piece range. Yes, that might be a bit higher than the Daz store stuff was, but remember, I had to fill the Daz cart with 60 items to get those prices down there. And then as I started paring it down, those prices started rising to $7, $8, $9, $10, $11. So the prices at Renderosity ultimately were better. Now, this is doing shopping, wise shopping at both stores. If you're just coming in and Black Friday and you never buy stuff, and you sit down on Black Friday and you go to the Daz store and you look at what's there and you buy the stuff you want and you're getting a discount, but you don't know how much, then you go to Renderosity and 50% off, and maybe you saved a few points, you got a $5 coupon or a $5 gift certificate, and if you're Prime, you can use the 20% off coupon, and it works for half of the things you got. And you buy it. There you go. You spent a couple hours and you bought some stuff. But I guarantee you did not save nearly as much money as I did. Okay? And it took a lot of effort on my part to save that money. The thing is, I don't have that kind of time to spend. The amount of time I spent at Renderosity to make that happen was perfectly reasonable. Perfectly reasonable time that I had to invest in exchange for that money I would have spent. At the Daz store, the amount of time that I have to invest to save an equivalent, value is absolutely outrageous. It's the equivalent of Daz Store stealing part of my life from me. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Folks, when they have 200 pages, each with 120 items on them, and their system moves as slow as it does, and every time you add something to the cart, it says, unable to access your account at this time or something for 5-10 seconds before it goes back to normal. Folks, shopping the Daz Store can steal your life from you. And that's why I really want to get this masterclass done, because a lot of that is to help negate that, to help give you your life back and to use your time as efficiently as possible. Because they're not just taking your money from you and ultimately taking more money than places like Renderosity do from you, but they're taking your time away from you. I mean, to me, the Daz Store is stealing from you. When they steal your time, that's offensive. You will never get that time back. And especially around the holidays, because these sales come out when? Around holidays. Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas. These are times you should be out, not worrying about shopping the Daz Store, but out with your family. Out helping your community, serving food to people who are hungry around Thanksgiving. Not sitting there for hour and hour and hours and hours, weeding through page after page after page after page, thousands of items that are on sale at the Daz Store. That's the difference between the Daz Store and Renderosity. Now, Render Hub doesn't have all that much stuff that I want. I keep monitoring it. There's some people who make some characters that are really funky. They're almost funny looking, but I like them for that reason, but they're a little pricey. So, there isn't a whole lot at Render Hub I really look for. I have a wish list, and, whatever. If it's on sale, I'll grab it. As far as I could tell, Render Hub didn't even have a Black Friday sale as such. Some of their vendors put their stuff on sale. It was the same sales you see throughout the year. So there really wasn't anything different at Render Hub. I think I just grabbed one item. It was like $8. That was the end of that. All right. So in the end, after all that effort, I put in probably 95% of my time with the Daz Store. 95% of my time with the Daz Store. And yet, what I ended up getting was from Renderosity. And all I got from Daz Store was that first purchase on the first day, which was like, again, third tier stuff. If you have a list of the things I wanted to buy that I've decided over the year that I really want, these were in the lower third, not the stuff I really wanted. I got screwed out of those because the Daz Store is manipulative. Their sales are only for 24 hours. How, even if I didn't have to go to work for 11 hours a day and do all that walking, how do I look through 2,000 items in one day? A holiday where most people, not me because I don't have any family, but most people have a family they want to spend time with. How can you do that? The Daz Store is all about manipulation. That's all they do. And it's disgusting. And I'm going to keep talking about it on this channel until they change their ways. Renderosity, thank you. Thank you for being reasonable, for being upfront, for making everything clear. I'm sorry that many of the vendors do not participate in your coupon, but you make it clear that that's the fact, and we can make our decisions. Thank you to the vendors for responding when I have questions. Thank you to people who leave reviews and demo renders on the product pages at Renderosity. It makes shopping Renderosity a great experience. It only has a fraction of the items and the variety that the Daz Store has, but frankly, the stuff at Renderosity is neater. It's more unique. And it isn't filled with all this agenda-driven woke idiocy, this political correctness that the Daz Store is filled with. That's my experience on Black Friday, folks. I got to end this video, but the reason I went at length to talk about this is because I wanted you to see the incredible difference between these two stores. The Daz store is all about manipulation. Renderosity is about, I would say, more like community. It's more about real people. They're upfront. The prices might be higher throughout the year, but they have sales. You can figure out their sales easily. There's none of this calculus you have to do to try to figure out, well, if I buy 2 new items and 1 Daz original, then I save 7%. But if I get a Daz Plus and only 1 new one and a Daz original, I save 9%. And if I don't want to spend my life doing that, folks. But that's the hoops the Daz store makes you jump through. And they make it confusing on purpose, because what they want you to do is to think that you're saving money out the wazoo, but they want you to be so confused and so out of control that all you'll do is fill your cart with stuff, see that they're on sale, and hit that place order button. In other words, they don't want you to think. They don't want you to be in charge. They don't want you. They show no respect for you at all as a customer. They don't want you to communicate with the vendors. They don't want to give you rewards points. If we had an equivalent at the Daz store of a point system like Renderosity has, you don't even imagine, folks, at the Daz store over the last year, if I had earned the kind of points there that I do at Renderosity, I would have easily been able to get every single thing on my list. You know, that thing that was originally about, what, $300 when it was on sale? I would have got it with points, all of it. Instead, I got nothing, because there's no point system at the Daz store. They don't care about customers. They care about themselves. And they seem to think they're really clever. They've got people sitting around in these rooms, these basements or whatever, coming up with these ridiculous little sales. Today only, even though our stuff's on sale every single day. Today only! Exclamation point. Ooh, a sense of urgency. I should buy it now. It might not be available tomorrow. I've got a punch card. I don't understand it. I don't know what it means. But they've told me I've got a punch card. Just like when I go to the gas station, I get a free coffee. I must be saving money. I don't understand it, but then you go over to Renderosity, and it's like, oh man, I really want that. They have not, these guys never go on sale. But here on Black Friday, it's on sale, and they accept the coupon. So I'm gonna grab that. That's great. I mean, it's still kind of high price, but I am getting a good deal. They're getting a good price, and oh my gosh, I've got points. Holy cow! I spent maybe over the entire Thursday through Monday, maybe 2 hours on Renderosity. Add up how much time I spent on the Daz store, and yet I ended up getting about 3 times as much stuff from Renderosity for the same price. I hope that gives you a bit of an education here. I'm taking the pain so you don't have to. And I am not going to have the Daz store just consuming my time like that. I'm glad I do have strategies for minimizing the time they waste. But as I'm sitting there looking through shopping their store, and I'm thinking of people who do have a family, who do have a life, they've got something they can do. I don't. It's just working and this. For the last 6 years, it's been working and sitting in a car. But folks, you have families, you have lives, you have things you can do. I can't drive anywhere right now. I'm completely stranded in an area where there's nothing. Okay, so I can take some time and look into this and let you know about it. But I don't want Daz store consuming my time throughout the whole future. That's a complete waste of my life. And shame on the Daz store for trying to do that to people. And thank you again to Renderosity and Render Hub, the hospitality, even at Render Hub. I mean, I'm just shopping there, and I buy something, and the vendor sends me a note to thank me. I mean, and I hardly use Render Hub. I mean, it's just really charming. It's a real sense of community. Over at the Daz store, it's just like this oppressive, I'm going to lord it over you. Here's how it's going to be. You won't understand anything, but you will just hit the place order button, and you'll like it, and you'll shut up. And like Paul, if you leave a message in our forums at the Daz store to tell anybody about it, we'll just censor it out so nobody ever knows that you said it. You shouldn't have done that, Daz store, because now you got this channel to contend with. I'm going to tell people about it whether you censor my forum posts or not. Everyone, I hope you had a wonderful Black Friday, but more important, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you do have things in your life that you're thankful for. I hope you do have family. I hope you do have a vehicle to help you get out there. I hope you did not have to trudge through a bunch of snow and be surrounded by coyotes like I did. I hope you had a wonderful holiday, and I hope your holidays coming up are fantastic as well. I hope you have a great, wonderful time with this 3D stuff at Daz. It is fun, but the Daz store just brings this dark storm cloud from hell and threatens to turn this whole thing into a nightmare. I hope these videos will help save you that trouble by warning you about what's going on at the Daz store. If you haven't gone to Renderosity yet, I suggest that you go over there. Create an account, but keep in mind, they actually sell something. You can change your name. You have to pay $10, but you can actually change your username later if you want to. I may have to do that for reasons I'll talk about someday. Paul's 3D experience kind of steps on the toes of someone else's channel, it turns out, and I don't want to do that. So I might have to change my name. But go to Renderosity, get an account, and start looking around. I highly recommend that you sign up for their Prime as well. But start looking through the forums, start looking through the galleries, and you'll see right away the camaraderie. There's a lot more going on in terms of community. And I think there used to be a lot more even. And maybe if more of us start communicating on places like that, we can get that community really going. Because the Daz store is no community, folks. The Daz store is a freaking prison. And shame on everyone at Daz for making it that way. You could have made it a different way. But you didn't. You chose to go for the prison. Renderosity chooses to go for the community. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'm going to shut this down instead of flapping my lips anymore, alright? Have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll have another video for you soon. Happy rendering, everybody.